Hello, this is Ricardo Francis, the Venting Vigilante. It's good to be with you again today. Today we're going to talk about teenagers. Yes, that wonderful, interesting group of human beings, of people. Yes, people are terrified of teenagers. Oh my goodness, I think I hear the teenagers coming. Close all the windows and close all the doors. I'm just being outrageous. Forgive me. Anyway, teenagers. Teenagers have had an interesting chronological history in terms of their development and recognition as a group. Teenagers, the birth of teenagers, some will argue, has been around since the 1920s. Of course, during the 1920s, it was a period in American history where the economy was booming before we went into the Great Depression. When the parents now were making sure that their children enjoyed their youth, their young period of living, and laws were being passed with respect to child labor and all these different types of matters. So, friends, from the period of 1920 to the 1930s, the 1940s, when we hit the 1940s, retailers, businesses started exploiting teenagers as a group in terms of marketing products to them. When we hit the 1950s was the era, the birth, you could say, of teenagers, contemporary teenagers as we know them today. In terms of their identity, in terms of what they want, what they like, what they don't like, in terms of their development, their style, their fashion, their culture. They start smoking, they start driving, they start doing a lot of different reckless things. We even saw a movie with James Dean called Rebel Without a Cause. And it was a hit. Of course, James Dean didn't live to see very many years, but that's a different conversation for a different time. Anyway, teenagers now have evolved. We are in the 21st century. This is the year 2017. Teenagers have all kinds of problems today. Substance abuse. They have identity issues, mental issues, depression. They are concerned about the way they look, their weight. And teenagers are more exposed today because of social media, Facebook, Pinterest, stumble upon Tumblr, Snapchat, you name it. The teenagers are everywhere. They know more about social media than I do, than people my generation. And I am not even half a century. I am just barely over a quarter century. Teenagers today, they are a force to be reckoned with. Of course, they don't vote, they don't consume themselves too much with politics, but they have tremendous purchasing and buying power. Yes, it is believed that American teenagers on a whole has billions and billions of dollars to spend. They, of course, retailers, marketing companies, do all kinds of surveys where teenagers are concerned in terms of targeting them as an audience. Yes, because they have money to spend. They're not only spending their own money that they have earned, but they're spending their parents' money or their grandparents' money. Teenagers are a different breed. I was once a teenager and I thought I knew it all, really and truly. But I'll tell you something though. There are issues, conclusive issues in my personal life, in my personal constitution, that I came to a realization as a teenager that I still hold dear to me today in terms of my goals and objectives in life. From the time I was 15, those goals have not changed to this day. So there is still hope for a lot of teenagers. In fact, I've met some very promising teenagers in my time. They are full of life, they're full of energy. Speaking to some of them is like I'm speaking to somebody who's way much older than me because they're so mature, they have developed. Now get into the development. Teenagers' brain, as an example, has been of tremendous interest to the academic community and to the medical community. The reason for that is because teenagers, their brain takes a different time to grow. The time how it matures. They tend to be a little bit somewhat irrational in terms of their decision making, tend to be reckless. Of course, the reckless youths, reckless adolescents. But we have come a long way in terms of recognizing and accepting the teenage culture. Teenage culture is here to stay. The teenagers should become more political. Perhaps if they become more political and start voting, instead of consuming themselves with substance abuse and consuming themselves with what is the latest in fashion, the latest in music, they can realize that they collectively, they're a force to be reckoned with. And we should give them more credit than what we're giving them. I, for instance, I don't have a teenage audience. As a in terms of demographics. I am hoping that by this video that I can reach out to you, for you to understand that I'm your friend and I want you to be my friend. So in the process, you can comment on my videos. I welcome you, my teenage audience. I love you. I love sharing these moments with you. See you next time.